Welcome. I had a request to show the Circles on Quilts spinning wheel number 36 to make a video on it, so that's what we are doing. And the Circles on Quilts spinning wheel 36 looks like this. This is the template. Okay. It's an awesome template. It's very diverse, yet it's very simple when you're first beginning ruler work. And as time goes on, you learn the diversity of this. It will become one of your go-tos, one of your standards, and you will love it. I'm confident of that. So let me tell you a little bit about the template. There on the upper left hand side, I'm sorry, there is an etched line of how the design is going to look once it's stitched out. There's a key here on the left side. That's how we get in and out if we have to. We have the letter A on the bottom left, the letter B on the bottom right. What you will be doing is stitching from A up here to the top back to B. When you hit B, you will rotate your template and repeat until you get all the way around. For this particular demonstration, we are going to use the halfway line here at the top and the one that comes down through the bottom, and you'll notice there is a tack hole here. We are going to put our template on the tack. This is a rotating design. Word of caution, if you look at mine, and I'm not sure how well you can see it, it looks like I've got two lines up on the top there. This line at the center was deliberately etched into the template when it was made. It's supposed to be there. This line to the left of it, I can feel it's etched on the top. It's not supposed to be there. So word of caution, make sure your needle is up high enough before you take your template out. That's the kind of stuff that happens. Also, you want staple tape where your hands are going to be. So this is what the design looks like when it's stitched out. And I'm going to show you how we're going to mark for it, and we will stitch out this sample right here. Right now, I have a 6-inch square. I have drawn in a vertical and horizontal crosshair. Not everyone does that, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's just my habit. I like doing it. That's how I teach it. And, but if you don't want to do it, that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm going to take my 8-point crosshair, and I am going to, I already have 4 of the crosshairs in because I have the vertical and horizontal crosshair inside my 6-inch square. I'm going to go ahead and put the other 4 lines in. I'm using my 8-point crosshair ruler, and there we go. I'm putting 8 reference lines in. These are going to make sure that our spacing is correct for when we do our rotations. Now what I want to do is show you how I'm going to place my tack. I place it from the front side. And somebody might go, that's just silliness because you need to have your template on the right side. And I agree. Yes, you do. The reason that I put it on the front side is because I have my mark, my block, excuse me, clearly marked where my center is. Okay, this is just scrap fabric too, by the way. So don't worry, this is not a real quilt. So now I've put my tack through from the front to the back, and watch what happens when I remove it. Okay, now I've got that little bitty hole right here. I'm going to stick the tack straight into that little hole, and it will emerge on the right side exactly in the center of our square, which is where we want it. Isn't that cool? I love that. I think that's just neat, and how much easier it is for us. Okay, so now I'm going to put my template. I'm going to put that hole over the tack, And you will see, remember those lines I showed you before? We have our straight line running vertically. That's the first line that we are concerned with. I'm going to bring my foot down, and you might hear this. There's a little jog when you hit that A, so you'll know you're exactly in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to draw my bobbin thread up. I do like to keep my bobbin thread under my template. I feel as though it is just out of the way better down there. And you may not, and that's okay. I always tell my students, and I'm telling you too, just because I do things a certain way doesn't mean you have to. If there's a way you enjoy doing it better, then by all means do it that way, okay? I don't know everything, trust me. Some days I feel like I don't know anything. Okay, so now I am lining this line back here. I'm going to just tweak you just a little bit. I'm going to bring you in just a hair so you can see everything. The top of my template is lined up with my vertical crosshair. I'm going to hold my threads back so I don't have a thread nest. I'm going to take one stitch in place, and then I'm going to stitch until I get to the top. Now, put my needle down. I want to make sure that I make one stitch at the top of the template. The template is going to give us a point, like right here. Let me see if I can show you. Right here, that's the very tip of the template. The template is shaped with the roundness here to accommodate the foot, okay? And if we take that one stitch in place, we're going to assure ourselves of a very nice point. I hope you can see that right here. I'm going to pull you in on it just for a minute here. There we go. There is the point. Okay. Bring you back out so you can see the whole template now. Move you back up. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch until my foot touches the B spot. And again, you're going to be able to feel, you'll have a little resistance there and you'll know you've made it there. Now I'm going to twist, this is where I started, now I'm going to twist my template to the left. Now what you want to notice is your foot is back at A. Isn't that cool? And now we're going to start around on our second rotation. Take that stitch right at the top. Don't take too many though, because if you do, what will happen is you'll end up with a little ball of thread back there, and you really don't want that. Okay, we're going to do one more. And then what I'm going to do is show you just how easy this template is to stitch if you don't turn your block. Okay? What I've been doing is I've been turning my block in my template. Okay? So I'm here. I'm going to turn my template, but not my block this time. And you might look at it and say, well, that doesn't look as easy. It's not quite as easy. It's not difficult, but it's not quite as easy. But there's a reason that we want you to learn to sew in all the directions that your template would be used in a block, say in the middle of a large quilt, where you can't be turning the quilt inside of the machine all the time. I'm sewing on a Singer 301. It's a vintage machine, and it has a very small throat. So obviously I can't be, tackling a full size or a queen size quilt for every rotation that I do. I would, one, be here forever, And secondly, I'd probably end up needing medication to help me with the shoulder pain I would suffer from it. It's hard work wrestling quilts around. In the end, is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If I could, that's what I'd be doing every day. I just love doing this. And I hope you grow to enjoy this as much as I do, because the creativity that it allows us is non-ending. It really is. So many people come up with so many great ideas. And you know something, even though I teach this, I also learn. I learn from my students. You know, people come in and they say, well, why can't we do this? And my pat answer is never going to be, because we've never done it before. I'm going to say, why can't we? Let's try. And just trying, you know, sometimes it's going to work out. Great. Other times, not so much. And we'll say, well, at least we tried, right? You want to at least go that far. So why I took my template off at this point is my next rotation is going to bring me back to where I started. And what I would like to do is bury that thread before I stitch over it again. So I've just made an overhand knot. I cinched it down on my self-threading needle. I've got about an eighth to a quarter of an inch off of the fabric is where my needle will be. The reason we don't want it directly on the fabric is if it is on the fabric, you cannot bury it. It will only lay at the top of the fabric. I want to hold this so that my tack doesn't fall out, and I want you to see it. So I've put that needle through the point where my bobbin thread came up. I've made sure that I got the thread or the needle into my batting and not coming through the back. Okay, so what you're going to see is there's my knot, and I got some stray thread. There we go. There is my knot. It is now sitting on my fabric, but there is room for me to give it a tug and pull it into the batting. Isn't that cool? And you know, you may say, "Oh, that's hard to do. That's awkward. That I don't want to take all that time." After you do it a few times, it becomes natural. It's really not difficult. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my template back on. I'm going to tape my gate down again. I'm going to line my template up. I am on point A. There we go. Get a nice slow start. Take that extra stitch on top. Come back around. And when you touch B, you will be at the very stitch that you started with. So I am going to take my template off first. And there we go. Move it out of the way because I'm really finished with that for now. I'm going to lift my needle and my foot. I'm going to grab a little bit of that upper thread, put my foot back down in that last stitch I made. And now what I've done is I've successfully taken and pulled my bobbin thread to the top. Okay, I'm going to just trim it off so I have enough thread to bury. And pull it away because that gets rid of that bobbin thread for us. I'm going to show you one more time how I do this. Just nice and easy, overhand knot, my self-threading needle, and I'm going to cinch that knot down about an eighth to a quarter of an inch off the top of the fabric. Attach my self-threading needle, and now I am going to put my needle in right where my bobbin thread came up, run it through the batting, making sure not to come out the other side, and give it a tug, and there, you can't tell. You can't even tell. I'm going to pull you in on that just to show you how nice does that look. There we go. You can't tell. And you want to know what? You can't tell on the back either. Isn't that cool? Love it. Okay, so now I only have one thing left to do, and that's to take my tack out and put it away. And I'm going to take you back out so you can see the whole motif with all 8 rotations. And that is how easy the Circles on Quilts spinning wheel number 36 is to accomplish. Believe me, it's not the only thing you can accomplish. There are so many variations of this particular template, and you can dress it up like you wouldn't believe. Maybe we'll come back and do that someday when I start showing you a 4-inch arc, a 12-inch arc. 4-inch arc was my nemesis. Now I absolutely love it. Works great in conjunction with the Circles on Quilt spinning wheel 36. So until we meet again, I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial, and let's quilt.